Bienvenidos a todos los que se conectaron a esta sesión informativa. Sin embargo, acá ya contamos con los representantes, así que vamos a empezar con la presentación para que pues en este caso ustedes puedan acceder a la información de utilidad, que pues en este caso todos están interesados en conocer los programas, oferta académica, conocer también opciones de financiación, becas y proceso de admisión. Asimismo, recordarles que existe un convenio de Colfuturo con Dartmouth, entonces ustedes podrán acceder a un beneficio adicional que más adelante nos contarán, en este caso, los representantes que nos acompañan. Así que sin hacer más larga la introducción, te doy la palabra a Candace. You can go ahead and start the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for having us. So we are from the Thayer School of Engineering at Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire. I will introduce myself. My name is Sarah Gagne. I'm on the admissions and marketing team. I am joined by Steve Manuel from our admissions team, Candy Potter from our admissions team, and Jessica Moody from our admissions team. Our plan this morning is we will run through some slides to talk to you about our graduate program specifically, and then we can share some additional insights that we might have, and we're happy to take questions. So I'll just spend the first kind of 10 minutes or so walking through our different graduate programs at Dartmouth Engineering. Okay. So I will start off with, we have a PhD program that offers flexibility within and across our research and program areas. And I'll talk more about those program areas in a minute. As a part of the PhD program, we have what's called a PhD Innovation Fellowship Program, which supplements the PhD curriculum with entrepreneurial studies. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute as well. We also have master's programs. We have a Master of Engineering program that can be completed in as few as 9 months, and that provides specialized depth in your field of choice through full-time or part-time coursework. We also have a Master of Science program that is research-based, where students are working with faculty on research projects. And we also have a Master of Engineering Management program, which combines graduate-level engineering courses with management courses at the Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth. And we will talk more about each of those programs in a few minutes. To give you an idea of where we're located, we are located in Hanover, New Hampshire. This is in the New England northeast part of the United States. For additional context, we are 2 hours northwest of Boston and 5 hours north of New York City and 3 hours southeast of Montreal, all of which are drivable via car, buses, or air travel and trains as well. At the Thayer School of Engineering, we have 6 program areas that students have the opportunity to interact with across our programs. And these program areas include biological and chemical, biomedical, electrical and computer, energy, material science, and mechanical operations and systems. And we have faculty who work in multiple areas. We have students who work in multiple of these areas. So you're not pigeonholed into one area. You have the opportunity to spread your wings and work across these different areas. I'll talk a little bit about our PhD program. And this is talking about entry requirements into the PhD program. So typically applicants have an engineering, science, math, or computer science degree with a GPA of around greater than or equal to 3.5, but we do look at all applications holistically. We ask that applicants have good recommendation letters. The GREs are optional, but can be included with the application. And our priority deadline for the PhD program is December 15th. We do accept applications after December 15th as well, but the priority deadline is December 15th. And we also ask too that if applicants are interested in the PhD program to connect with faculty ahead of time, because through the program, PhD students are working directly with faculty. So it's really important to identify faculty who are working on research or in research areas that are of interest to you, and to make connections with faculty ahead of time to establish that relationship as part of your application process. In terms of the degree requirements for PhD, there's 8 to 10 courses. There's a combination of an oral exam, professional skills workshop, or research in progress workshop that you're taking over your time in the program. This slide just presents at a high level an outline of a student's time in the PhD program, sort of what they're doing in year 1, where they're taking coursework, in year 2, and what they're also doing in years 3 to 4 or into year 5, and how that process works. I will turn it over to my colleague Jessica to talk a little bit about the PhD Innovation Fellowship that's part of the PhD program.
Thank you, Sarah. So our PhD Innovation Fellowship was the nation's first PhD innovation program aimed at providing PhD students skills and support necessary to engage in research and translate their work into the commercial sphere. So you learn new venture creation, patent law, finance, marketing. Starting in year 3 of the program, students are eligible to request up to $10,000 per year. And that is extra funding that can go towards things that are different than the research you'd be doing in your normal PhD work. You'll work with entrepreneurial faculty across Thayer School and the Tuck School of Business. And we have a few different research tracks. We have a track which focuses on sensor research. We have the regular track, and then we also have an NIH surgical innovation track. So that is a supplemental application in addition to our regular PhD application. Applications are due December 15th at the same time as our regular application. And the application process includes 2 additional essays that you would submit in addition to the regular PhD requirements.
Great, thank you, Jessica. So just to talk a little bit about financial aid for the PhD program. PhD students typically enter with full support from either a graduate research assistantship or an external fellowship in the program. And now I will turn it over to our colleague, Steve Manuel, to talk about the Master of Engineering Management program at Thayer.
Great, thank you, Sarah. So basically, the engineering management is a combination of both engineering and technical classes and also business classes from the Tuck School of Business, a world-famous business school here at Dartmouth. And essentially, half of your courses will be in engineering and then half of your courses would be in business. And there are a number of ways that students can accomplish this. When we talk about the courses, then the light green are the required courses. So all students have to take those courses, and you'll see that it's slanted toward business, but there's also statistics and there's also tech assessment and the professional skills. So these are the required courses. And then in the light purple, if you will, are the electives. And this basically allows students to tailor the curriculum to where they want to go and what they want to do in terms of industry, in terms of area. And so it's very, in terms of the ability to select what you want to do, that's where these electives come in. So it's very self-selective in terms of many of the courses. So I'll show you just an example of one of them. This is someone who might be interested in data analytics. And so you can see what we've done is filled in some of those electives with a darker green. Now, we don't specialize in terms of data analytics, but this is just an example of someone who might be interested in data analytics and what they would take. Someone who's interested in data analytics could basically take anything they want in terms of the electives, but this is just an example. The next example is product management. And so this is someone who's more interested in product management and managing those types of things. And you can start to see some of the overlap that might be present. Students may also use that elective in the winter there and take additional courses at the Tuck School. Students are allowed to take 2 of their electives over at the Tuck School, basically, and that's a very popular for students to do. And with a wide range, I just wanted to demonstrate that that's possible to use another elective outside of Thayer. In fact, at this level, you can almost take any graduate course across not just the engineering school, but across the campus, as long as you can make the case that it's going to help you in the direction in the area that you want to go into. In terms of the graduating class of 2021, this just gives you an idea of some of the areas they went into and some of the companies that they work for. Most of these individuals are obviously going into the technology sector and doing a lot of different things. The consulting and financial services is something that's really over the last 5 years grown significantly compared to where it was 5 and 10 years ago. Is this for Candace, or you want me to talk about this, Sarah?
You can go ahead and talk about that.
Okay.
There. Yeah.
So in terms of the MEM program, basically what we have is need-based aid. And so essentially, typically the need-based aids are between 20 and 40%, depending on the student and quote unquote their need as assessed by various forms. And as you go through this process, you'll see what forms are required and when they're required. So we do have need-based aid, and almost all of the students who apply for need-based aid typically will receive it.
Great. Thank you, Steve. And so now I will talk a little bit about our Master of Engineering program at Thayer. So this is a program that consists of 9 courses in one of the 6 program areas that I mentioned earlier. So those 6 areas are biological/chemical, biomedical, electrical, energy, material science, and mechanical. So students in this program, this is a course-based program. There's no thesis requirement. So students have the option of taking, if you take the program full-time, you can complete it in as few as 9 months for the course of 3 terms. But students can also take this program on a part-time basis as well. And typically we look for applicants that have a GPA of about 3.33 or greater. And for students with no engineering background, additional courses may be required prior to taking the program, but we do look at all applications holistically. In terms of the Master of Engineering degree, students will gain a basic competency in applied math and engineering. They're going to gain some breadth of engineering knowledge through elective courses, and they'll gain specific depth through courses that are in the track that you want to take in the program. There is also another elective option in the program that's called the Design Project Elective. And this is a 2-course sequence where students are working with an industry sponsor to address a particular design challenge, and they're gaining unique leadership skills and hands-on technical experience. And projects for this elective are sourced through our Cook Engineering Design Center, and it offers students an opportunity to gain real-world experience, all while they are completing their degree here at Dartmouth. Financial aid is very similar to what Steve just described for the Master of Engineering Management program. So basically, need-based aid is available in the form of partial tuition scholarships that are capped at 40% of tuition. I'll talk a little bit about our Master of Science program. This program, like our PhD program, students are typically funded through a professor-sponsored research or fellowship. Applicants that are interested in pursuing a particular area of research are encouraged to reach out to faculty ahead of time to discuss potential projects. And the MS program is composed of 6 courses plus a thesis. And I should also mention too, when I was talking about our PhD program earlier, a master's degree is not required to apply to the PhD program. That is a question that we get a lot. Students can actually come from undergrad, and if they connect with a faculty member and they apply and are accepted, can go into the PhD program and not necessarily have to get a master's first. I'll just talk a little bit about the part of campus where we're located at Dartmouth, which is quickly becoming a creative and collaborative hub on campus. This is a picture that shows our brand new Engineering and Computer Science Center, which is home to both the Thayer School of Engineering and the Department of Computer Science at Dartmouth. So there's a lot of opportunities for research and experiential learning and entrepreneurial resources here. And this building is also home to our Magnuson Center for Entrepreneurship and the Dartmouth Electron Microscope Facility. And next to us is the Irving Institute for Energy and Society. And this leverages Dartmouth's strengths in interdisciplinary teaching and learning, engineering and business, and sustainability, and by providing solutions to critical energy problems. And we have a lot of faculty that work closely with the Irving Institute. And lastly, this is a picture of campus, just to give you a feel for the New England area where we are. It's a very beautiful spot. We have a lot of mountains that offer a wide variety of fun outdoor activities to do in all sorts of seasons here. So what you see here, the buildings in the front here represent sort of where we are at the Thayer School. And then there's different parts of campus that students can easily get to via walking or public transportation. I will also touch upon briefly our career services here. We have a wonderful dedicated career services team here at the Thayer School of Engineering. They work directly with students to help advise them on their career needs, their professional goals. They put together a variety of events, including fall career fairs. They do treks where they take students to different businesses across the country to get to know more about employers. And we have alumni when they graduate go on to a wide variety of companies, including Microsoft, Google, Lockheed Martin, and more. And so with that, I've put a few helpful links. We can share the slide deck afterwards too. And we'll put some additional links where you can go to get more information about our programs if you'd like to join our mailing list to find out more about our programs, application deadlines, and just in general to learn more. And we can also put a link to our email address if you'd like to email our admissions team for more information. So we'll put that in the chat. So Jessica's put in the chat a link to a form where if you'd like to join our mailing list and get more information about applying and about our programs, please feel free to fill out that information and we'll be happy to get in touch. At this point, we're happy to open it up to questions and cover anything else that might be helpful to know.
Good. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Candace, Stephen, and Jessica. Thanks for all the information you shared with us. And we're going to go ahead with the questions. So let me check. We're going to start with Victor. He's asking, if I don't have much experience in research, is it advisable to apply for a PhD or a Master of Science?
Sure. It's a great question. Definitely, we know that sometimes the research starts at that point, right? You've done your undergrad where you've taken mostly classes, and it certainly is fine if you haven't really done a whole lot in the research area. You certainly will dive right in and learn more about that when you matriculate.
So, lady, if I could, what I'd like to do is just give some general advice on applying, if that's okay, to graduate school.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So first, I'd like to start with the statement, or the statement of purpose is what we normally call it. And I think a lot of times what students will do is they will spend basically a lot of time writing one statement of purpose that they plan on sending to multiple programs. And I think that that's probably one of the biggest mistakes that students do, is you think that you can use the same essay for all 8 or 10 schools. And you can use 80% of the same essay, but what you really need to do is talk about specifically the school you're applying to. And that way the school knows that you've done a little bit of research. So really the first part of your statement or your essay should be about your background, and in some cases, what you haven't listed in other sections, because we have the rest of the application. So tell me something new. The second part should really be about what you want to get from the degree program. Why are you choosing this school? Why are you choosing this degree? And this is where you can specialize your essay to the school that you're applying to. So now I know you've been to my website, you've looked at my school, and you know what my school has to offer. Because we really want to bring in students, quote unquote, who know what they're getting into. They're not just applying for the name of my school or the reputation. They've looked at the program. They know about the program. And then the third part of your essay should really be about, what is this degree going to do for you? Where are you going to go with this degree? And that's really different because it might interest a lot of students to know most students spend 100% of the essay writing about why we should admit you. And that's just not what you should be doing with the essay. I think the other thing of interest would be, surprisingly, most students wait until the last minute. We receive 75% of our applications within 5 days of the deadline. And it is a huge mistake to wait. We actually look for candidates and when they apply. And so basically, if something is wrong with your application, if something is missing, we can't help you because it's too close to the deadline or it's the day of the deadline. You'd be surprised to learn that some students don't understand that our servers are on Eastern time. And so when they think they have all day, they're using their own clock and not ours. I mean, that's how close to the deadline students will take it. So I'd encourage you to submit your application at least 7 to 10 days prior to the deadline. I think the other thing that's important and along those same lines is your letters of recommendation. If you're thinking of applying, let's say for the fall of 24, you should already be thinking about who's going to write your letters. You should already have 1 or 2 letters. You should have already met with your advisor. Now, when you ask for a letter of recommendation, the best thing to do is not do it at the end of the semester, because that's when everyone else is doing it. You want to do it midway through the semester so that you get to know the professor better, they can get to know you, and you want to hand them a resume about your background so they know more about you. You want to make it as easy as possible for your recommender to write that letter. So give them as much information as you can to make it easy for them to write the letter. What that also means then is that your letter writers will be consistent across what they're writing. So your resume should include your GPA, your academic interests, your career interests, and your hobbies. And so that will make it much easier for the letter writer to write those letters. And that's one of the things that you want to do. So that was just some general advice that I wanted to give overall in terms of the process. So we'll take more questions as they come up. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Stephen. We're gonna move with questions that we have from social media. So let me check the most frequent one. It's about the supplementary admissions requirements, maybe an essay, a portfolio, an interview. Can you tell us more about these supplementary admission requirements, if you have these other requirements?
Sure. I think one of the things I would strongly encourage applicants to do is very thoroughly read the application instructions, because on there we do clearly lay out what all of the things are that are needed to make a good application. There are also some bullet points, I believe, on our web pages that, like, how to apply, and adding some great advice to what Steve just shared. So I would definitely suggest going through those questions and make sure that you've taken the time to really think these things through. You leave yourself enough time to make sure you can do the tests that are needed. As Steve said, get the rec letters that are needed. That would be my strongest suggestion, is to carefully, like, almost use that those application instructions as a checklist, so you can go through and make sure you've gotten everything done in a timely manner.
Good. Thank you, Candace. We're gonna go with the next question that is about the cost of living. So maybe can you tell us about the estimated for studying in the US?
Yeah, so I'll put a link in the chat, but on our financial aid pages, there is a cost of attendance, and it's broken down this year's tuition, what the range of housing is, different expenses for books, personal expenses, travel. So I would suggest carefully taking a look at that as well, and I'll put that in the chat.
Thank you. And the next question is about if I want to travel with my family, with my husband, with my wife, there is like any help you provide to those students about accommodation or maybe something you can offer to them in those cases?
I'm not sure exactly what the international office provides. I do know our website, our OVIS, that's what we call our Office of Visa and Immigration Services, OVIS. They do have information on there about spouses and some helpful hints there. We don't necessarily get involved in that end of it. What my office does is we provide the information to the OVIS office to do the visa processing. So they're the experts. That's all they do all day, every day, is work on getting international students, making it as easy as possible for them to get here. So I would strongly encourage taking a look at that as well.
Yeah. And the last question I got from social media is about the work experience in the US. And for example, can you tell us about, I don't know, maybe your experience about working there, if it's easy, if it is not easy, like something, tips that maybe they have to take into account when they finish the master or the PhD and they want to start working there?
I can speak to it as far as our career services. We have a very, Sarah touched on that as well. We have a very dedicated career services office that they work just with their school students. I know there are numbers on their site as far as the job placement, where students are going. Oh, thank you, Jess. She just posted that link in the website. I think engineers, the employment rate is extremely high, and Dartmouth engineers definitely get jobs right away. There's always a very high placement rate, and you'll want to take a look at that career services page, and that will give you an idea of exactly. And I believe it's broken down by degree as well, so you can see whichever degree you're interested in, where do most people go, what are the salary ranges for those degrees. There's a lot of really great information there.
Yeah, thank you. And well, the last question that I received right now, it's about the language requirements. So for example, if they don't have like the English requirement that you like you have on the slides that you present, there is like an option for them. Do you have like courses or preparation or maybe other options for those students who doesn't have the English level?
So we do have some, we do accept TOEFL, IELTS, and Duolingo scores. We do expect that there's some, maybe like for TOEFL that students have around 100 on those scores, but as Sarah said, we do look at the application holistically. I think there are now, in the last few years, there are requirements from the visa side of things that you have English proficiency. And we do offer an ESL class for students who maybe their scores are a little bit lower, but their application is so strong that, we certainly don't want to miss out on the opportunity to have that great student here with us. And so there is an ESL program that students can, that we actually assign them if they're based on test scores, and taking a look at, if you studied in a US institution, for example, you would not need to provide test scores because we will assume that you've gotten those basic skills. But we do have this in place for those who need a little bit of help.
Okay, good. Thank you. And now, yeah, we're gonna conclude the presentation, but the final question from Col Futuro, it's about this, like, what would be the tips or the suggestions that you can provide to the ones who wanna start the process of admission with you? What would be those tips that you can provide?
Yeah, so currently our application is closed just for the next few weeks while we update it. We do this on a yearly basis. So I think the best advice I could give is Again, take a look at those application instructions. They're truly going to be your most helpful resource. About mid-August to the end of August, visit our website to check to see if you can start the application process, or at least familiarize yourself with the process. You'll go in there and you can actually start an application. Doesn't have to be done all in one day, but you can certainly get a feel for what it is that it takes to make up a good application. So it doesn't hurt to get in there early and kind of poke around and see what you're going to need in time to apply on time.
And I would add to that too, the first link that we posted in the chat is just a link to just join our mailing list. We do hold additional virtual recruiting events throughout the fall too. So if students would like to, just be notified of upcoming opportunities to connect with our virtual recruiting events, or connect with faculty, or just learn more about our program too, to join our mailing list, and we'll be sending out more information.
And if anyone is interested in the MEM program, I just put up a Calendly link. They can schedule an appointment with me if they want to meet one-on-one, or if they have any questions. You can just click on that link and it's my schedule to set up an appointment.
Good. Thank you so much, everyone, for all the useful information for all the students. So, well, we already have all the links. If you want to contact and have more information regarding the process, you can go ahead and check all the information we have in the chat. And well, that's it for today. Thank you so much, Sarah, Candace, Jessica, and Stephen. Thank you and have a great day.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you for having us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.